Um, for my audio, is it too loud? Is it good? Okay, great. I'll give people a second to read through the agenda. Yeah, so I try to host these meetings so it's both chat and voice friendly. Oh, speaking of which, let me set up my recording for this so that I can take notes on what's being said. Okie poke. Yeah, so let's get started. Um, I'm gonna first talk about a marketplace degradation that came up on Friday. Some of you might have noticed that there was a delay in checkouts and delivery and viewer notification related to marketplace buys Friday. This was related to a deployment we did. Not a major change, but it just turns out that um, the workers that run these jobs that do all the queue of buys and notifications were in an unhealthy state, and so it just backed up the queue. Um, the incident was for about 5 hours, and we kind of upped the amount of workers for the weekend just to, keep an eye on everything. We haven't seen anything in terms of people missing stuff or any like delays in deliveries outside of Friday, but if you have noticed anything, please reach out to us or support so that we can follow up. But everything should be good now. So that's kind of our sad news from Friday. But we got some good insights from it and good learning, so I'm hoping the team will take it in stride. In terms of like major updates and kind of the roadmap, we'll be rolling out a redesign of the Vera Splash soon in the next coming weeks, I think. It's just a UI redesign, so no major functionality changes, just kind of a cleanup of that look and feel. We've started making some headway on the marketplace homepage responsive design. You might have seen some small changes to the sidebar deployed out. We're still working on kind of getting those out the door, but we're chugging along. We're making some updates to the email verification modal. If you've seen that pop up when you log in on your dashboard, if you haven't been skipping it, you won't see this updated view yet. But if you have been skipping it, please go and verify your email because it's a great way to keep yourself safe and other Second Life users safe. Next thing is that we've been upgrading the region buying experience. I know that that's not the most popular flow, but we've had these long-term plans of upgrading Linden homes and region buying. So in the next month or so, you might see a new kind of functionality around buying regions. And then I know this is kind of important for this group. We do have the work to update map search results to include regions kind of broken down. We're just waiting for some things in flight. We're assisting some teams with helping with authentication updates. So once we kind of get that work done and help that team out the door, we'll be working on doing those map upgrades. Yeah, category count was definitely something people really were asking about, so I'm glad we got that out. And then just little quality of life updates. We added some more guardrails around product listing enhancements, so we're hoping this will reduce even more cases of double charges. We released like a slew of little bug fixes around Marketplace, including wish list display views, language selection, display name synchronization, little things. So hopefully I can go through those cannies and close out what's outstanding if they haven't been linked correctly. But if you have little tweaks, they should be out now. And then we've been just kind of doing some due diligence on our AWS servers to make sure that things are, or excuse me, services, so that things are upgraded before they hit end of life and we have to scramble to fix things. Um, so yeah, that's my long-winded update. There shouldn't be any price changes or anything with regards to regions. It's just that the UI, so it was on the old land UI. It's not very nice and pretty, so we've updated it so that you can have a little bit more interaction when you're selecting names for a region. We haven't done anything to change pricing around regions. Okay, I have a hypothetical for the group. Um, I know that we've been focused on responsive marketplace and things like that, and I'm not making any promises or anything like that. Um, if if you had to if we had like a complete feature, uh, yeah, it is a kind of a catch-all outside of every the defined categories. Um, if we had like a feature pause on marketplace, and then after like a year or a year and a half, you got variants, would that be worth it for you? Like marketplace styles? I'm being very conservative, but yeah, a year and a half.
You wouldn't add any new features, but you would fix something if it went wrong. It's just that you would be focused on that.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
marketplace
so
would
you're just
come as
saying
it
we
is.
don't focus on one thing. Let's get this one thing happening.
Yeah, like if there were other like projects that sounded more interesting. Okay.
Wait, so what's the question again? You want to temporarily remove the featured items thing in favor of uh
No, no. I was just saying if all kind of marketplace development stopped, we keep things running and bug fixes and all that. But like in a year you get a new marketplace that has variants and, like a variance UI and stuff like that. I was just wondering you know, would that be interesting?
I mean, to me it definitely sounds interesting, but how much of a variant are we talking here? A year is a long time.
Yeah. Oh, styles. So instead of having to list products individually, you can do you got your plant and then all the different colors, styles.
The Amazon dream we've talked about and begged for like 3 or 4 years. So 1.5 years isn't long to wait.
Okay. I'm not making promises.
No,
I'm
no,
just
but I was just breaking it down. So it's the one listing for every single color of an item and the fat pack and the demo all on one page, which every designer and lister on Marketplace really would love. So yeah, I think that everybody wouldn't care if you didn't add new category images or little bits and pieces over that year and a half and just focused on that. I think that everybody would love that.
Yeah, I was just thinking that too. I was thinking, a year and a half for maybe one or two buttons. That might have been a bit a long wait for a couple new buttons, right? But like if we're talking 1.5, potentially 1.5 years for major changes such as this one, it sounds absolutely worth it. Yeah.
hmm. Okay. Yeah, it's a big like the variants, the adding styles and stuff like that. The biggest hurdle I've been kind of grappling with because come to this project, I come back to this project a lot. It's something that people really want. Is migrating users, right? Like migrating store owners from their old version to the new and all that stuff, and how we want to handle that. I know that there are lots of people in this group who would be willing to like help and test out stuff like that. But it's also just interesting to see like if it's like worth it versus other things. I can't make promises, you know, stuff changes, but
The main concern, I was having this conversation with a few older residents the other day, store owners. Sorry, Bean, 1 second. The problem is that we don't get to go forward because of everybody being stuck in the past. And I'm all for old content. I absolutely believe that everything old is new to somebody. It's not about that. It's that we're being held up by people that are no longer part of Second Life. That's a problem because there's either two things going on there. They're either cashing out and never logging in and taking the money out of Second Life without any input into Second Life as a community, as a world, whatever. Or Linden Lab are just making a whole lot of money sitting there that is not going anywhere because those people legit left Second Life and they just didn't unlist. Both of those things are negative towards the progress. So realistically, when I propose the idea of Marketplace 2.0 and we just get a new shiny one and everybody migrates over eventually, that's, you know, I think that's how people agree. If we miss out on some wands that was created in 2006, people will get over it or they'll get a year to buy it.
I too just want to quickly add on to that and say, yes, absolutely, I agree. If we're gonna make like this big Marketplace 2.0, definitely include more social aspects to weave out like what's in the past, what's in the future kind of thing.
yeah, I am really in love with the idea of Marketplace 2.0. It is out of my pay grade to even to go forward with that project, but like I you know, I am. It's encouraging to hear you all say like if you just came out with a new one that's a completely different system, we would migrate it. So like yeah, like
Yes.
hypothetically, if we made something, it's like a whole new store, and then we're like, yeah, you know, we can try and do a store migration and migrate you to this new world, but we'll like kind of have these two things, and the idea is that we'll deprecate. Um, that's not a pain point, moving to a new system or something.
That
Well, we
was
used to have OnRes, and OnRes was superior, and Marketplace bought OnRes, and then you actually didn't use any of the features of OnRes for years. They had management options back in 2007, and it took Marketplace till I think it was 2011 or 2012 till we got manager rights. So yeah, it's kind of weird.
Okay. Yeah.
quick question, if I may. As much as I would love a larger update to the marketplace, I also have to raise my concern in terms of you see the whole change. Lots of SL doesn't really fancy change that much. In fact, there's still, I believe, something like 18%, roughly 20% of SL who has not upgraded to a PBR compatible viewer yet. They don't fancy it, they're not compatible, whatever the reasons might be. There's still 20% of SL that has not yet adapted a PBR viewer. So my question is, with a marketplace that's vastly different from the one that we currently have, would there be an option to switch between the two?
You know, I don't know. This is like, I'm just kind of Brave New World brainstorming with you all. Like, I haven't, this is me just, I'm sure Grumpity, if she could hear me now, she'd like reach through the speaker and strangle me for this. This is just me kind of spitballing ideas and thinking of stuff. So I mean, that's a good point, right? There are lots of people who are resistant to um, there are lots of people who are resistant to change, right? And I don't want that to hold back doing new things. Um, but to your point, like I think we need to provide that compatibility. So if this is like, you know, I don't want to say if we ever do it, like, if this was even considered, that's something that we would have to think about is that there are going to be people who want to do things the old way and why and how and I don't know. Yeah, and to Sarah's point, there are lots of like older products or whatever that the owner seller might not still be active, but they're used and people buy them and so or want them redelivered. And so I
But
don't
where does
want
the money go? If it's not there, if they're no longer around, then Linden Lab's making that money, and that seems not really that cool.
Yeah, I mean we would delist it and stuff like that, but I'm not looking to prevent people from getting stuff that they want. Um, if it's something that they want to redeliver from someone who has it.
This is why, for a larger update, preferably some more social features, at the very least, like a little tag on their store that says last online this or that, or maybe like a publication date on the item. You know, this item was first seen in 2004, and then people know that, oh, well, this item's from 2004. A lot of things have happened since then. Maybe I should reconsider.
Yeah, no customer service is going to happen if they haven't been online since whatever. So if it is a big priced object versus you buying it for an alt because you already have it on your 16 other alts. I know that there's both categories there. And again, I'm not for getting rid of anybody's store as such, but at this point, we've been having this discussion every single change for over a decade, and there has to be a point where we just say we need version 2.0 to keep growing as Second Life. We can't keep holding out because one person sells something 3 times a year.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, cool. Yeah, I don't know. I can't promise anything, but I mean, if if a new shiny marketplace came up and we're like, we can here's actually another hypothetical. Let's say it's a new shiny marketplace, but we can't migrate your store. You're gonna have to start from scratch. Is that like a deal breaker for you?
Maybe.
Sorry, can you say that again, Juniper? Sorry.
Yeah, so we have like Marketplace 2.0. It's got variants and all that stuff, but you can't easily migrate your store like from a click of a button or something, where you would have to like relist everything. Is that like a big pain point?
No, that would
I
be
mean,
better.
there is some kind of appeal to just the vast hugeness of the marketplace as it current. Like you can go in just about any categories, and there's like a literal million items in each of them. That in itself is huge appeal. Whereas with a fresh, all new marketplace, it's gonna take a while to get to even the first 1,000 products. Um, so I'm a little concerned that maybe people would, you know, stray away from adopting at least at first until it grows to a reasonable size.
If it's done
It probably
properly, where
depends too. What if the creator has like 20 items? Then it's not a big deal, perhaps. But if the user has like thousands of items, like a store that's really big, that would be a pain to make all those listings again and start over.
it's not all those listings though. That's the point. It's one listing for the 50 colors that they had 50 listings for in the past. That's the point. If it's done properly, it means pressing a button and uploading a collection of all 50 colors, textures at once, and putting them in the thing, the fat pack image as the main image at once. It's going to be, maybe 3 minutes to do the listing instead of 45 minutes to have done them individually. So
I get that. So
yes.
Is that what you're saying though, Juniper? If hypothetically, if there was a Marketplace 2.0, could you migrate all of your listings except the ones that you want to do variants in, or would you have to start over from scratch regardless of that?
So in my hypothetical, it was like start from scratch. This is me just like brainstorming what would be friction to even do this. And yeah, I like to your point, I was thinking like there are lots of stores that have lots of items, and so migration would be a friction point. I think where there's probably going to have to be some individual cleanup while a store kind of migrates to a variant, because like there's just going, you're gonna have to comb through and make sure our migration did the thing. But I'm just like doing the research to be like, well, what would make people not want to go to the new one? And yeah, like data migration is a pretty big one, and that's interesting.
Getting a lot of
want to
different.
say, oh, go ahead.
I was just no. Say what you're going to say.
Oh, just I had to put this in text, but for me, like my marketplace got deleted earlier in the year, and I don't even know why. Like I've been active, I didn't get a no, and I didn't have over 10 items even, so it's not like a big deal. But I don't even want to redo it as it is now, because there's no point for me to redo it if I don't even know why it gets shut off in the first place. And so, like I said, it wasn't fancy. I didn't have a lot of sales, but I had things on there that, you know, I thought it was cool just to have, and people appreciated them, and my little free mesh alien head and such. But I don't even want to do it now, so I don't see any interest for me to even continue with the old system or the new system because of having something like that happen. So I'm not interested to even in marketplace in general because of that. So even at that, I wouldn't want to do a new one.
Sure, yeah.
I was going to say that we've also got a lot of different content creators now. More than ever, aesthetics means so much to them. And a lot of people with a lot of older content have struggled to keep up. This is kind of that moment where you go, oh, I'm going to change my Instagram to all look pink and purple through the whole thing, and it's going to be wonderful and blah, blah, blah. You see content creators change their templates all the time. So the idea that they can go in and start from scratch and that their older stuff can look newer and more inviting to the overall public is going to be a draw for them. You're also not talking about closing version 1 the second you go live with 2. There'd have to be a crossover time, like maybe a year or 2 to give people that chance to migrate stuff over, because some people won't even know what items they've got because a lot of people retire stuff to Marketplace. Also, if you did this at the same time and actually gave them a chance to have a second store with the same name, same owner's name, that's game changing. You'd win the internet.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I mean, there is something to be said about like the cost of running these two things for an extended period of time. I think to the point like we wouldn't want to keep it forever.
Right.
But I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic by hearing people say that they're like, yeah, we can move to the new thing. But you know, that's also a lot of work too. And again, not promising anything, just really brainstorming with the group to, you know, just see what are things that you would make it a deal breaker or not.
If you kept the old,
maybe you could have 2.0 and then the old one could reside as it was, and then if 2.0 gets 99% of people are using that one, then you could just, you know, off the old one, like do a test run.
There have to be a time. There would have to be a time that you end version 1. If you don't end version 1, nobody will migrate. People are lazy, right? And so then all of that hard work, that year and a half, actually getting the shinies and then nobody doing anything with them, that would just be problematic to everybody that did embrace it. You'd have to give them a year or 2 to migrate over. But realistically, even stores with 50, 60 pages could do 1 or 2 listings every other day and get there eventually. Nobody says you have to list all of them if the other one is active for a year or 2. Sarah, people close their stores in Marketplace. We've lost content creators for years. People have just walked away, right? I hate the idea of losing people that have passed. I absolutely agree with you. And maybe the Lindens could move that over themselves. Maybe somebody would volunteer to do that at Linden Lab. No pressure, no whatever. But we can't keep living in 2010.
That's true. But I believe for Marketplace 2.0, as we're supposed we're all referring to it as, it would have to be integrated together. I just thought about alternatives such as Caspervent, for example. Caspervent came about with an alternative approach to a marketplace. It was a much more in-world solution than the marketplace in-browser solution, and it worked because it set itself so much different. That was the only reason it worked, because it was so different and it was so successful at being different that creators dealt with it, having to do it on two separate platforms. They dealt with it because both of them worked in their own ways. But with a brand new marketplace separate from the current one, I feel like it would end up third wheeling the situation, where you'd have your in-world solution and you would have your in-browser solution, and then you would have this third solution that creators would also have to manually list their items for. I think that would be the deal breaker. It would definitely have to be integrated into the official thing, so that we still just get the good old drag and drop an item into the marketplace and launch it.
Yeah, I would think, honestly, we bought the Casper suite of things. I think if we were to ever do a 2.0, having the Caspervent integration, I think, is like, I would argue table stakes. Like, we would need to want that, because you're right, that is a big source, right? Like, being able to vend in world and in marketplace. So like, maybe like that would be the way forward. And I was actually going to ask about the Casper suite of these management stuff, like, and how that influences you. So you kind of answered my question about, like, yeah, you have these kind of two things, and it would be great to smush them together.
If you could integrate it where people could have, like, still order from a store like you would, but like the kiosk, but it would be sent from Marketplace, so you wouldn't need a Dropbox, that could be huge. Like, a Dropbox isn't a big deal, but someone will get like a Bell Syria home and then put their Dropbox there, but you're not allowed to have it there. But it's like the perfect place to have that second Dropbox. So if you could host them, like, on the cloud, so to speak, that would be awesome. And it would also help, like, theft in a way, because, I mean, to be blunt, like, if someone is doing nefarious things, they could just take a whole Dropbox, and there is that whole store's content in one chunk.
For sure, integration is key. The marketplace as of now to publish an item is beautifully simple. I mean, you right click it and there's an option that literally says copy to marketplace. It's that easy, right? And even with Caspervent as a third-party solution, you drag and drop that item into a box, it scans automatically, and both solutions are beautifully integrated and beautifully simple. It would definitely have to be as approachable as the other two in order to even get a foot in the field,
Bean, just a quick question. Do you make things in multiple colors and fat packs and demos and stuff?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I work commission. I just code things.
Right. Okay, so I've listed possibly 24 stores in many years, as in 24 stores of often more than 500, 2,000 items.
Yeah.
It's not drag and drop easy. It really isn't. And I'm really good at it and I really like it. I find it quite therapeutic, but it's hard work. So the 2.0 idea of being able to do it in one listing where you can actually do the multiple colors at one go and stuff like that. Sure, it's easy to right click and put it in the vessel, but the rest is the part that's the problem, and that's the part that needs to change.
That's right. You just reminded me. It's not as easy as right-click copy to marketplace because that doesn't list it. Then you have to manually
Right.
go and make a listing for each item. And like you say,
Uh-huh.
if you got 20 different colors, that means 20 different listings where you manually have to copy
Uh-huh.
paste it. Does it have a clone option? Can you clone another listing? I think I
You can. It's called
vaguely
SKUs. You
that
you you
helps
make
a
a
little
SKU.
bit.
But there's
Yeah.
also another thing. Actually, I was gonna say to you, Juniper, one of the things that needs to actually happen with Marketplace is that ferocious part where suddenly your listing has all the languages and all the languages are incorrect listings. That has to stop. That should be a checkbox that you get to choose whether you want it in German, Japanese, or whatever the languages are.
Marketplace transactions are my nightmare. The way
Right,
that
but
they're
they just
written.
need to go. Like, you've got customers telling you that they got the pink because they bought the red, and you can't understand why, except the fact that for some reason the French version is saying that it's pink when it's red that you're listing. It just,
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean we have like a bit of work spec'd out to make the UI around like the translations and product descriptions clearer, but like the way that the translations were stored in the way that Marketplace handled translations was really weird. It was before my time when it was implemented, and I have some future learnings, but yeah, it that is a pain point. You're right. Like it's just ugh. Um
the other one, and I did a canny for it, and you did track it, was that when you're doing related items, the fact that you get pushed out of there when you click on one, when you have an 8 option, and going back in there 3 or 4 times to be able to select 8 related items is bananas. How is that not just a checkbox where you click as the 8 that you want?
yeah, it's yeah, we haven't gotten a chance to like really reevaluate the actual like this is like part of the reason I bring up like 2.0 and the variant stuff is that the seller experience in marketplace is really lacking, right? Like, I it's true that from a customer standpoint, the every style being its own listing is painful, but I think truly it's a marketplace thing that would be difficult. How do we support this idea? I don't know. It seems like people are excited about it. I've got to do a lot of research, right, before I can even attempt to pitch this. But like, I don't know. I'm
People
just in
also
the
resent them as well because there's two sides to the coin. There's the hardness of actually listing them, and then there's the resentment when somebody comes along and makes a product that comes in 50 singular colors and they just flood marketplace. So they're suddenly in the newly listed items, or they're suddenly in the category with 50 of the windows, etc., etc. So it just changes the game when yeah, and then it's also a horrific experience for the customer to just keep scrolling through 50 different colors of the same thing that they've already decided they don't want that one to get to maybe the next choice. So it changes all that. It merges all that into one listing. I'm not interested. Next, right? Or I really love that one. Yay, and then I can choose my color once I go to the page. It's just different.
yeah, yeah, and yeah, to your point, like we've been really focused on kind of like what we can do to make the customer experience better, but like holistically, marketplace is just not great for the merchants themselves and being a merchant and a store owner, and there's all this friction from how the system was built long ago that just didn't adapt well. Sarah, I think Kermit can maybe answer question 2 for you with regards to the forums and login. Um, I can poke and see what he says. And then, oh, goodness. I'm going through the chat right now to answer some questions. I don't think the marketplace or the mobile Second Life app can buy from marketplace. I don't think we have that integration yet. Sorry, I cut someone off.
Yes, I just wanted to say I too am curious about this this quote unquote upgrade for the forum, because locking in via a cookie does not sound like a very good decision. It sounds like we're going a bit backwards, honestly. I mean, I get that it does add some convenience, but it also completely exposes the individual in terms of cookie sniffing, which is old technology that I honestly forgot existed till today. So like I'm genuinely curious if Kermit can maybe enlighten us on this this decision to log into the forums automatically through cookies.
Yeah, sorry. So the community site was upgraded. It's actually run through a third party. Their OAuth service was upgraded recently, and that I think enabled this automatic login. I'm not sure what technology they're using. To be honest, it's just I'm not responsible for that necessarily. So
they're not Linden Labs. Did we know that?
Well, it's the auth part of it. So so for the auth part of it, we authenticate, but then the community form itself is provided as a service. So we acknowledge when a resident has proper credentials and whatnot, but it's yeah, thanks. I wasn't sure what the term was.
But you're telling me that these credentials are now shared across all of Second Life's services. To me, that sounds like a single point of failure, truth be told. Should this not be, split back into individual bits once again, so that, possibly one security breach doesn't make the whole tower collapse?
They're not saving the credentials; they're saving the session, I believe. So I don't think there's anything that's.
I mean, you can modify a session. You can also duplicate it. It can be shared between computers, even if it does seem unlikely. You can make it happen, and a lot of people, they don't fancy such single point of failure. I guess I should simplify my question. Is there any chance that the old functionality will be brought back, or is this just kind of how it is?
Also, how does that work with multiple accounts? Like, many of us have multiple accounts. I only use one on the forums, me. But if I was logged in on Hairfair SL on the Second Life website, and I went to open up forums, or I wasn't logged in and I had been previously, if I went to log into forums, would it be logging in Sassy or would it be logging in Hairfair? Like, how does that work? Sorry, I'm not as tech savvy.
Sorry, so you would log in, you would put in your username and password, and then whatever account that would associate with would be logged in, and that would be the automatic login unless you actively.
So the same as it's always been, then. I guess I'm kind of confused because I've always gone through the Second Life website to the forums, so I had to be logged in, and then I just clicked the forums drop down. But they seem to be acting as though it's, if you open up the forums separately, it's just knowing who you are. That's the bit I'm confused about.
So the idea is that if you log in on one of these services under a shared domain, it issues a cookie telling your computer that this computer is logged in, it's got session ID APC, and with this session ID you have access to certain functionality, because by having a valid session ID, you basically authenticate that you and the servers had some talk back and forth, and you've agreed that you're logged in to this account from this computer and whatnot. Like, there's a link between you and the service. Where it becomes kind of a security nightmare is once this authentication is shared locally in the client's computer. It can be scanned and spoofed. And also, once you've got one credential or one authentication shared across multiple services, I mean, yes, it makes it more convenient, but it also does make it a single point of failure, because, you know, once things go down, it pretty much means it goes down across the board, so to say, which myself included, it's not too keen on, because I am prone to a lot of, you know, stuff like that. So,
Okay. Well, I think we're still looking into the email bit as well, but um, I guess Kermit and I can take this back and see where we can go from there.
Just putting it out there, something that sort of occurred to me randomly. When you go to Second Life Marketplace, for instance, it's a few different clicks to get your transaction history, and going to the, you know, we pull the Amazon out of the air all of the time. I realized when I was trying to tell a friend to go and get something that I just purchased the day before, I had to do a whole lot of steps to actually find the item that I wanted to tell her about. And I thought, oh, it would be kind of cool if we had, you previously bought this, or you previously looked at this, options on the bottom of our marketplace page. But I also realized at the same time that we don't just have a quick and easy access button that just goes to our transaction history, and order history is not really a great sort of head feel on that's going to get us to what we want once we get to all the steps to find order history. And I find that that's the same for the Second Life website. A lot of people have to be told when they say something in group chat or on the Discord, when they're completely baffled by transaction stuff, that there is transaction history in our Second Life website. It's, again, so many steps to get to it. I feel like that should just be a button that just goes automatically there really easily on the main page.
Okay, yeah, so easy access to transaction history via Marketplace and other places
and Second Life. So the Second Life website, it should be transaction history, so all your transactions in world, note card moving, because people don't actually realize that note card sending actually creates a zero transaction, which is marvelous because it helps you when people send you a note card made by a Linden instead of their own, who actually mysteriously sent you this note card. So people don't know that the transaction page exists where they can find actual relevant information. And then also the marketplace transactions is not easy to access either. So quick and dirty buttons for both of those in both locations would be great.
Yeah, okay.
I like that idea, because we do currently, looking at the marketplace, you can go to the top right, and for example, it says Snow Lord, and there's a drop down, and it says account. If people don't know that if you click on account, that's going to pull up your account history for your marketplace. It seems like just at the first read, it's like I'm going to my account, like back to the main page,
Yeah.
which it's not.
Or,
so even
or
changing
a
the
profile
title could help.
Yeah. It's not. It just, that's what I meant about head feel. It took me a second, and then you get there and it says order history. Order history seems like a vendor sort of wording, and even then that's tricky if you're not English as a first language, because even as English it's not an organic sort of wording. So transaction history for both cases, whether you're the buyer or the seller, should just be a quick and easy button. But definitely on the Second Life website, because it is so baffling to me when I have to tell somebody that's 14 years in Second Life where their transaction history is. Like, that's just a fail. Not on their part.
Okay. Well, I mean, I can at least give that to our UI designers and let them chew over it and see if they have any ideas. Oh, and then I know this was brought up last time about the wiki image thumbnails. I saw someone because they mentioned the word thumbnails. It turns out that the wiki image issue was a little bit more multifaceted than it seemed. So I know some people have said that the experience has gotten, like, they can see stuff now. They're not like fully resolving that ticket because there's still some other things that they're working on, but they are aware of the wiki images having issues, and they are working on it. No, yeah, exactly, Pookie. Just, I think you should take that rumor and run with it, and then when Grumpity hears about it in a month, we'll have a new web team representative.
We could just make a t-shirt that says August 2027 WUG and wear it for a year and a half, and everybody will be like, what?
It'll haunt me. There's like a content creation work group or something in person happening in a week. Could totally put it on then, and then Grumpity can ask me, and then she could try and kill me.
The back of the shirt could just say soon ...
Oh, I was gonna say the back of the shirt should be verified by Juniper. And
Yeah, I think that would really sell it.
Grumpity's going to wonder why she walks in with a resignation letter for July 2027. Post-dated. Or future, yeah, anyway.
Yeah. I like talking with this group because everyone has a lot of good ideas and are willing to riff with me on these hypotheticals, and I appreciate it. Gives me the energy to think of things in a new way and see about, I don't know, creating new stuff. You know, to your point, like I want it to be great for new people and old users, and I always want to be mindful of making that migration transition good. So, you know,
Yeah, I just would really like that if, like, I have no problem if an older resident doesn't spend as much time in world as they would really like to, but they kept their items on Marketplace for the good of humanity, and they don't mind coming in and relisting it, or they don't mind designating. I mean, if somebody only has 3 or 4 items and they can't get in, I have no problem volunteering as their mover over to the thing, like, you know, to keep SL going. But I don't like the idea that there's dead content just sitting there, that their balance is 3.4 million Lindens because they're gone. And I don't mean past, I just mean that they just rage quit SL one day.
yeah, you know, yeah, you're right. Like I think we can make accommodations, but and you know, try our best to make it easy to migrate or whatever for future stuff. But you know,
Yeah, because you have that data, right? You would know if a content creator that no longer SLs actually does cash out, or their balance is just sitting there, just growing and growing and growing.
Yeah.
And if they did pass and they do have next of, I mean, it wouldn't be in Linden Labs' worst interest to try and reach out and see if there's somebody that technically owns that money because of, you know, wills and stuff. They just didn't know that there was a Second Life.
Oh, to your point, Sarah, I think, yes, it will zoom in when you click on it when you search on maps, but we haven't started the work, so I can't confirm it. But it is slotted. So I have it kind of mapped out and it's on our roadmap. We're, like I mentioned, we're kind of assisting Kermit's team with some stuff. So we don't have all of our devs to work on everything. But when things free up, we will be working on that.
We learned that you've added legacy search back to the SL viewer. Is that part of your team? Because yay!
Legacy search is I own new search that everyone hates. I don't own legacy search, but they did communicate to us that people have a lot of friction with it. We do want to reassess search, but it's a pretty big thing. Search engine engineering and all that stuff is like its own core competency. It's like, you know, every company that has it has a team dedicated just to search, and we like implemented it, but yeah, it's there's lots of learnings from it. So if things go well, you know, I think maybe we can prioritize at least like a cleanup of search, and then maybe we can see about updating web search to be more performant and actually return what people want.
Yay. Well, I mean, I need places to be places and groups to be groups and people to be people. I don't know why I can't handle web user search, but I just can't handle web user search.
Yeah, I understand there's been like a lot of confusion about it being all jumbled together and having it being separate is I think one of the bits of feedback that we got.
Yeah, I think that it also misleads people that don't know different things, like people that have named their regions after stores, or stores came along that were named the same as like they're going to the wrong places because of that. But another thing, who is responsible for when you search a name in invite to groups? Who's that? When you go to invite to a group, the box opens up and then you type in a name and then the names come up, because I think that would sort of work the same as search. Who is that team?
I actually don't.
The reason that I'm asking is it's really wrong that if I physically type out Juniper Linden, that somebody that's stolen your name as their display name, if their real name starts with an A, they get listed first. There's something really wrong there that happens that way, because every time I have to invite multiple people to groups and people have done some shady stuff by trying to steal their identity, you can accidentally invite the wrong person to a group because you see the name and then don't realize that it's a display name. It should always be that if you type in the right name, they should be first no matter what the alphabet is. Yeah, I understand you can turn off display names. That doesn't sort of help there. It's just that people shouldn't be able to do shady stuff like that.
Yeah. I will follow up and see if that's in our wheelhouse or not.
And I had it turned off for 17 years too, Sarah, until I became a mentor and I had to see what people would prefer to be called.
Okay, so when you're inviting people to groups and you search by the display name, it sorts by resident name and it allows people with like display kind of improve the other people.
Yeah, it's displaying display names if you have display names open, and also, you know, I was working some stuff out with Pantera earlier in the week. If you right click and then go to paste somebody's name, it includes the display name when you go to paste it, and like that's a headache as well. Like there's just all these sorts of extra steps all the time. I do love that they added the option to just use UUID though. That's awesome.
I think,
And it's actually faster than names, which is weird.
maybe you could just have like a little tick box, exclude display names from this search, because
That
that way
would be
it would
awesome.
it
Yep.
would just be something simple, and you get the person that you're wanting.
You just got the MVP of this meeting.
Yeah, I will see. That's a good point.
Exclude display names as a checkbox in the moment would be just so awesome, instead of having to go into properties and blah 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 blah.
Yeah, I was like,
I also would really love, and I've requested this so many times over the last 20 years, is that we are given the ability to register our business names with Linden Lab, like actually register them, and that by doing so, people can't open a store, you know, 15 years after you with the same name as yours. And then also it would mean that if you're registered and somebody searches your store name in search, it would be at the top. So then, or take the group, yeah. It would be at the top, which means when you're looking for a store that has developer kits and all of that, instead of them losing their identity amongst the tens of thousands of people that create for them, they would actually still be at the top when you want to go to their store.
Can you explain that second part a bit more? Like, you want to register names, but like for developer kits, you want their name. Like, could you explain that a little bit more for me?
No, sorry, I was just saying, okay, so for instance, if I made a product and I let people make for that product, and then somebody wants to actually go to Flare and they type in Flare, well, Bean's store is more popular and Felix's store is more popular. So when somebody types in Flare, because they've got Flare in their keywords, they're at the top of the list, not Flare, right? So you can sometimes be scrolling for like 5 full scrolls to actually find the store that you want to, because it's not abuse. They actually do make for the content nowadays, but it means that they lose their identity as a brand because they become a keyword. And I feel like I've always asked for the registration of brands because, like, for instance, when I opened the deck, I made sure that there was no such place in the whole of the internet marketplace, every single option for Second Life, there was no such place. Within 2 days of opening that region, people had made 512 parcels and called them that just to get the traffic over there, right? That is abuse, that's whatever. But nobody can stop people doing that. And I think that monetizing a registration, it doesn't have to be expensive, but people should have ownership of their brands. And it should mean that somebody can't just go and open up a store with the same name. I mean, in real life, you register a business. It should be the same in SL. And then that should actually have the benefit of, like I said, being the top. I hate to say this, but it'd be like the blue checkpoint. You know, you'd be the Flare, or you'd be the Snow Lord.
I think that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. Brand names and registering.
And it's actually monetizing something because you've got tens of thousands of businesses. That's an influx of, again, I'm not talking huge amounts here. I'm talking about a reasonable amount per year so that the smallest starting store can also do this, right? But you just maintain it year to year. And then it means that when you're searching you in Marketplace, you'd be the only one that comes up because you're the registered one. And I know it's a bit of a hiccup because who owns it? Well, if you're the longest one to have it, and that's easy to prove, you'd get the name.
Yeah. Okay.
If nothing else, at least being the first result, even if the list is longer because of tags or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
You'd only have one per account, but it'd also have to be, it'd have to be your brand. Like you'd have to.
Yeah. Okay. This flew by. Sorry. These are all really good ideas. Thanks again, everyone, for bearing with my hypotheticals and listening to all of it.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, I mean, I have no promises, as always, other than t-shirts, I'm sure.
Hey, without
Oh, yeah.
hypotheticals, our fingers wouldn't be moving right now. You know what I mean? That's good.
Yeah.
On that topic, who is making the Junimer confirmed Marketplace 2.0 t-shirts? Who's on that?
I'll leave it for you two for everyone to fight over my next. We can figure out my next job afterwards. Maybe someone here can hire me.
When
After
I
this
said
meeting, we'll all
Grumpity
go make
would
a store called
laughing,
Juniper Linden Shirts and see who gets at the top of the list.
when I said Grumpity would be laughing while she strangles you through your monitor, I just meant because she would actually find it tongue-in-cheek hilarious. She wouldn't really be wanting to kill you. It would all just be very Bart Simpson and Homer Simpson strangulation.
Yeah, she'd be a good sport about it. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you all, and I will see you all in a month, and have a wonderful spring.
You too.
See you.
Bye. That's the
See
one
you.
good thing about time flying these days is the web user meetings seem to be closer and closer. I'm getting older faster, but we get
Me
more
too.
meetings.
Earlier, I thought like, oh, 2004, that's 20 years ago. It's not, it's 22 years ago. Time's flying.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that was a good meeting. High fives.
It was. Good meeting.